I'm Tim Herrera with the Sacramento County Office of Education with another Teacher of the Year profile. We're visiting now with Paul Cordero, who is one of 2 Teachers of the Year from the Elk Grove Unified School District. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. What school do you teach at, and what do you teach?
I work at Charles Mack in Elk Grove Unified School District, and for the past 2 years I've taught 6th grade. I taught 15 years of 3rd grade before that, and now I'm going in for the challenge of 1st grade.
That will be a challenge.
It will be.
From 6th grade to 1st grade.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what do you like so much about teaching at the elementary level?
You know, I think I'm a kid at heart. I like the kids. I like the honesty and the imagination of the kids. You know, I taught 6th grade for the past couple of years, and even then I could see the imagination waning a little bit. But now that I'm going to 1st grade, I love being able to read a storybook and then all of a sudden just create a world in your classroom that, you know, Lyle the crocodile or Stregonona, and then just following along. I love how these little guys' eyes just light up with knowledge that you give them. They're really curious. They want to know. They're not cynical yet, and you could just have a great time with them.
Now, have you always wanted to be a teacher?
I didn't. I was going to be a doctor. You know, in my 5th year at university, I took a class where you volunteer in the local classrooms, and so it was a science class, an elementary science class, and I loved it because you know, went out and bought some cow's eyes. We dissected them, and I made some worksheets, and the kids I just loved them drinking in the knowledge. And at that point, I just said, you know, knowledge and kids, you know, this is where I want to be. So I took a little bit extra time to take some classes to get into the teacher credential program, and then I did that, and I just loved it ever since.
So you were very close to medical school.
Yeah.
At that
yes,
point.
I was at the application stage.
So that was quite a sharp turn.
Yeah, my parents were none too pleased, but you know, my mom was a principal and a teacher, and I have a lot of educators in my background. So.
So, what kind of challenges have you seen in all the years? I mean, you've taught for how many years total?
This will be my 19th year. 19
years. So, I mean, that's quite a span of time. You know, what kind of different changes or challenges have you seen in the classroom for you, especially?
I think, you know, one of the biggest challenges that we face is with our families, and I've always worked at Title I schools, which essentially are, you know, lower income schools. A lot of the students are on public assistance, and I think I've seen a lot of change in terms of, I don't want to say disintegration, but a lack of family cohesiveness. So there's, parents have a lot to worry about at home, and we have students coming in, you know, a little bit below grade level, or who need some extra support, who need us to go and find them some glasses, who need us to get the backpack, some school supplies. So just getting our students prepared for school and making those connections with our community, it's been a little bit more difficult. We haven't had as much parent participation as we like, so finding the ways to get our parents in and making our school be a community center has been a challenge.
So how much extra is that laid on your shoulders when you have less family support than you really would like to have? I mean, what does that do to you as a teacher?
It can be disheartening a little bit, but I think that as teachers, we get the students that we get, and you know, really, I see my job as taking that student and doing everything I can with that student. A lot of times, these students have a home life that is more difficult. They have, you know, serious challenges. It's not a place that is all fun and games or as enriching as some other students. And so I think my job is partly to make my classroom that special kind of a place where they want to come, where they feel safe, engaged, where they have a family, where they have friends, where they have consistency, where they have the materials they need. So if I can get the parents on board, which I strive to do, I see it almost as a benefit, as the gravy, although it is crucial. But if I can't have that, I don't get too disheartened, because I see it as my job to do everything I can in the classroom.
So you really have to concentrate on more than just the curriculum, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's important in any kind of teaching or working relationship. You want to get to know the student. You have to build a relationship, and whether that means eating lunch with a student or spending time with them after school or playing basketball or going to their football game, I think that's important in their education, because when they trust you, when they know you have their best interests at heart, then they'll perform for you.
So what do you do to motivate those students who you can see are struggling, and you know that they could do better if they worked a little harder? What are some of the things that you do to inspire your kids?
Well, I think that I try to make like I said before, I like to make my classroom a special place. I have very high expectations of my students. I try to teach in a way that is not boring. I try to be very engaged. I try to be funny. I try to, when I taught second grade, I wanted to bring in music to the classroom, so I went and I bought a guitar and I learned where to put my fingers, and the students couldn't tell that I could only play G, C, D, but I've gotten better throughout the years. And so I try to make the classroom a place where they want to come first. So those hard to reach students want to be there. Hopefully their attendance is improving. And then I get to know them. With sixth graders in the past couple of years, they're starting to have fairly significant social problems and concerns, and you talk to them, you know them. I protect my students, I look out for them. They know that they could trust me, that I'm almost a father figure for the year for them. Many of these students don't have a father figure at home, and so sometimes being a male teacher, I can become that. So building that relationship helps a lot.
What about as far as motivating parents? We kind of touched briefly on trying to get more parents involved in the classroom. What about motivating your parents? Because that's also a challenge.
Right. Fortunately, I can speak Spanish. I come from a Latino background, so I have a good connection to our Hispanic community, which we have at our school. About 30%, 40% of our population is Hispanic. So I have that kind of connection with them. When they hear me speaking the language, they feel safe coming in. They come and ask me questions about what's going on in the office, what's going on here. We're trying to do this. With African American parents, I try to be out there as much as I can. I'm a member of the African American Advisory Committee, so I'm meeting those parents, the African American leaders who can have more of an influence on the other parents. Other than that, it's phone calls, being out there when they're coming to pick up their kids, just showing an interest, showing that you need the parents. Parents want to know that you need them, whether it's to correct papers, to come in and help out with the workshop group, or to donate some food for a party, or to come in for Thanksgiving.
How do you see yourself as a positive male role model?
I think that's critical. I think that one of my strengths is consistency, and so and high expectations. So I could see what's in these kids, and I know what they can do, and I ask them to do that. I teach them manners, I teach them respect, and I'm fully consistent with that. And so I think that being that kind of strict role model, that fatherly role, I think it brings out the best in a lot of our students.
So what was your reaction when you learned that you were a Teacher of the Year for the Oak Grove District? How did you find out?
Well, we were doing a vocabulary activity, and we were all in our little groups around the room, and my back was to the door, and all of a sudden, the door opens, and I turn around, and lo and behold, balloons, and the superintendent, and the principal. So that was a big shock, and my students started applauding. And then the fun part about it is that I saw 2 sets of balloons, and 10 seconds later, they announced that my administrator was Administrator of the Year, so she was completely floored because she didn't apply, and at least I had gone through the interview process and so forth. But it's been a lot of fun, being in contact with old colleagues and friends.
Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of people out there that are considering teaching as a profession. Mm-hmm. And what would you say to those folks who are thinking about it? And what are some of the things they need to consider, and what would you say to convince them that it might be something worth considering?
Teaching is a great profession if you love kids, if you love learning, and you love hard work, and you're looking for constant improvement. For me, those are my hallmarks. Knowledge. I love learning. My work ethic was instilled into me by my parents, so I love working hard, and I love kids. And I don't get exasperated by them. I think their foibles and mistakes are funny and challenging. So I think that it's a difficult time right now, and if in a sense, it might distill the people who really want to do it, and they might persevere and keep on going with it because it's a difficult time right now.
And also to remind them that it's not a profession for everybody.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Hopefully, we can keep the best teachers here in these tough times.
Do you find it challenging sometimes when you see the ups and downs?
Well, teaching is a profession where your job is never done. There's always more to do, and you have to pick and choose what it is that you're leaving out at the end of the day, at the end of the school year. You're always seeing that you didn't get this kid as far as you could have, because you could always do better. And so that's a little frustrating sometimes, but I think if you're honest with yourself and true to how hard you work, I think it's rewarding.
Okay, well, congratulations to you. We appreciate your time. We've been speaking with Paul Cordero, one of 2 Teachers of the Year from the Oak Grove Unified School District.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.